So, Keith, I know you've got some models that you use, and the acronyms to help people, like the leadership thing, right? Um, can you talk to us, I suppose, a little bit about that and how you think about helping and supporting people in the leadership journey, if you like?
Can I just ask a
Yeah,
question before you go? Is this Keith's? Is this his leadership reimagined keynote? Those principles that you're talking about, Keith?
yeah. I'd be happy to share that. So I do have a leadership reimagined keynote. And this is my way of sharing with people that we need to reimagine leadership, uh, including the fundamentals is part of that. But I have an acronym that is FAR, and I like to say uh, if you follow this, it will take you far when it comes to your life and your career. The F stands for focus. And as I mentioned, the majority of people that I engage in a coaching engagement with struggle with clarity. So focus, and when I speak of focus, I'm talking about intentionality, understanding where you are. Doing an assessment or assessments to understand where you are, so that you can get a clear picture of where you are and create that roadmap of where you want to go. So the first item is focus, and then the A. So the acronym is FAR, FAR. The A stands for accountability. So accountability and accepting responsibility for your own personal development. This is another huge problem. People go to work for someone and they wait for the employer to give them training instead of taking or seeking or pursuing the training that they know they need to succeed. And, I say that we each individually should take responsibility for that, because number one is my belief that each and every one of us has an obligation to reach our full potential. That's our job. We've been given the resources, which is a brain and a body. We need to use that to help become the best version of ourselves so that we can make a positive difference in our life and the lives of others. But when it comes to leadership, for some reason, we wait for our employer to come and tell us what training they want us to take. And I believe that each and every one of us should take the initiative to identify what we need to do to become the best version of ourselves. Another simple additive of that is my concept of becoming a great leader is kind of simple when you look at this aspect of it. I say before you can be a great leader, you need to be committed to becoming a great person. And because if you're not a great person, if you don't understand how to love yourself, if you don't understand how to love others, it's going to be difficult for you to lead others and love others and care for others. And so all that together, falls under the category of accept responsibility for your own growth, be accountable to yourself as far as growth is concerned. And then lastly, the R stands for rapport. So this is where we're going to build rapport, trust, and build relationships with others. And I have 10 behaviors that I have in a acronym leadership, and that represents 10 behaviors that I have practiced over my life and that I share with others to practice to help them build trust and build better relationships. And I don't know if we have time to go over those quickly, but that is my framework.
Let's go. Let's unpack them.
Yeah. And I think, sorry, excuse me, my voice is breaking today. I think, Keith, as well, what would be great is for the viewers underneath the video in LSTV, maybe we can put some of these things, some resources there for them so they can,
Okay.
they may listen to it now and then go, oh, I forgot what that is. So I think, that might be a good
We'll
thing.
do that afterwards.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. So, right, Keith, let's go unpack this. And then once we've done that, I think I'd love to get on to then your Leadership Reimagined keynote and see if there's any other pieces in there that add to the story. So give us the leadership acronym. What are these behaviors?
Okay, awesome. The L stands for lead by example. Of course, when you're a leader, the camera is always on you. People are always watching you, and you must behave in a way which causes people to want to emulate your behavior so that they someday can aspire to be in a position such as yours. That's lead by example. Next is to effectively utilize empathy and esteem. And this is extremely important in today's environment where well-being is super important, because people come to us as leaders and they ask for help. They need something, and it's a work-related ask, but typically emotions are tied to it. And one of the best things that you can do to address the emotional aspect of it is to start with an empathetic response. Somebody brings something to you, help them understand that you understand. Oh, I understand. That is challenging. And just that little piece, helps to take the edge off of them. So learning how to use empathy as a leader helps people see that you care and takes away some of the personal needs and aspects of what they're going through when they're performing their jobs and facing challenges. Next is acknowledge and recognize performance. So this is something where I know a lot of leaders struggle. I've had leaders tell me before when I ask them, hey, when's the last time you recognized someone in your team? And they say, well, I recognized them when I gave them a paycheck. And I try to make sure that leaders are finding people who are doing things every day that are helping them be successful. I like to use the example of football, American football. So you have the offensive line, which is the group of people who protect the quarterback. You never see them, or you rarely see them in a post-game interview. You see the quarterback, you see the running back, you see the wide receiver. They're the ones who get all the glory. The offensive line is the one who makes a team successful. They're the ones who make the team successful. And so I always tell leaders, those individuals on your team who are not receiving the accolades, they're the offensive line, and you have to raise them up. You have to uplift them, recognize them, and thank them for what they do every day, because without them, you would not be successful. So acknowledging and recognizing your team. The D is for developing your team. One of the most important things that a leader can do is to develop the people in his or her team. Now, let me tell you why. Over the last 30 years as a human resources professional, I've conducted exit interviews when people leave the organization. And about 40 to 60% of the time, people who leave, one of the things that they cite is that they did not see career opportunities within the organization.
Right.
And so they sought those outside of the organization. So I encourage leaders, you should be having career development discussions with your team, and at least during the performance review, but probably throughout the year, identifying what it is that they want with their career, and then give them opportunities to grow towards whatever that is. Even if that means they want to move to a different department or someplace else in the company, that's still a win for the company. So you have to have a big picture mentality of, I want to help this individual grow, and that individual is going to trust you and see that you care about them and their career, and they're going to give you everything that they've got.
Right.
The E stands for engage everyone. And this one's very special to me because I started my first professional job after finishing university was an aircraft mechanic. I had a degree in management, but I was 22 with no experience, so nobody would hire me and put me in charge of their company. So,
why not?
Right. So I decided, you know what? I would like to start at the bottom and learn the organization from the bottom. So I started as an aircraft mechanic working on airplane engines. I had to go to another educational class to get certified to work on airplanes. So started as a mechanic, and I was working in the shop, and I had a bitch that when I wasn't on the plane, I'd be working on my part. And a group of managers walked around from place to place in the shop, and they got to my shop, and my supervisor was on this side of me, and those managers in suits were on this side of me, and they were talking about the part that I was working on. And I was working on this thing called a hot lip. It's the shiny part by the engine that's very visible. It's titanium. It's very expensive.
Right.
The one I was working on was, like that little part was like $20,000. And if you messed it up, you were in big trouble. So I'm sitting there working on the part, and they're talking back and forth, asking questions, and my manager's answering the questions. And, half the answers were wrong, but I was sitting there listening, and during that entire time, none of the people who were walking through the shop looked at me. None of the people who were looking at that part or talking about that part even asked me a question. They didn't say, "How are you doing today?" They didn't say, "Is there anything I can do to make your job easier?" And that had a lasting impression on me. I thought, man, I'm the one who's doing this very difficult job, and nobody said a word to me about this. And so at that time, I vowed that when I become a leader, because remember, my mission was to start there and work my way up the organization. So I knew at some time I would become a leader and a manager. When I become a leader, I will make sure that I engage every employee. I'd never want anybody who is in an organization that I am in to feel as invisible as I felt that moment. And I like to share that with my managers as well, the people that I coach, because I think sometimes we get so focused on what we're doing that we don't pay attention to people around us. And just to look at someone and say hi goes a long way. So engage every employee. Respect everyone. Respect everyone. The R stands for respect everyone. So this is a very, once again, this is a fundamental, respect everyone, just regardless of if it is the general manager of the facility or the janitor, they deserve the same level of respect. And I just encourage people to practice that. That is authentic, and that is what every individual deserves, your respect. The S is to share your vision. Steve Jobs, before he died, I watched one of his videos, and he made a statement. One of the most important things that a leader can do is to make sure the vision is clear for his team, his or her team. And that's something else that I feel that people struggle with. First of all, understanding the vision of the organization that they're in, and then taking that and having a clear pathway of what I do or what my organization does to help to accomplish that vision, and then taking that and making sure that your employees know what it is that they do and how it contributes to the vision. So that cascading of the top level vision down and to the rest of the organization is very important. So sharing the vision is the S. The H is for honesty, integrity, trust, and service. So these are 4 characteristics that every leader should practice because surveys and studies show that those things are valued very much by employees. The I stands for implement a coaching culture. Coaching is becoming one of the most important parts of leadership because people are seeing the effectiveness of coaching. Coaching had a great impact on me when it comes to my life in general. The coaches I mentioned, teachers and coaches, had a great impact on me and caused me to learn and grow and succeed. And the same can happen, in a work environment. So as a leader, we must seek someone to coach us, which is hard. Most people don't know they need coaching. Most people don't know how coaching works, but we should seek coaching. And then the second part to that is that we should become a coach for our people. And then the last one is P, and that is to promote personal development for ourselves, because as I mentioned, most organizations are not adequately preparing their employees, their leaders for the job they have of taking care of their people and promoting personal development for our employees. Because if we promote personal development, we help our employees elevate their level of capability. That's just going to increase the capability of the organization as well, because an organization is only as good as the people. So that's the quick summary of those 10.
There's so many nuggets.
Behaviors.
Hey, Keith, thank you so much. There's so many nuggets for our audience today in your leadership acronym there.